You're listening to the Bloomberg Intelligence Podcast. Catch us live weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app. You can also listen live on Amazon Alexa from our flagship New York station. Just say, Alexa, play Bloomberg 1130.
All right, when I started in the media business on Wall Street 35 years ago, my clients were radio companies, TV companies, magazine companies, newspaper companies. Then along came cable television, and then this thing, the internet, came
the
along,
new age,
which upended everything. Our next guest was the M&A banker for the old media, and now he's the lead M&A banker for the new media. Terry Kawaja joins us. He's the founder and CEO of Luma Partners. I worked with Terry moons ago back on Wall Street when we were banking some of those older media companies. Now it's all about Google, Facebook, Snapchat, all these kinds. Amazon now a major player in digital advertising. Terry, thanks so much for joining us here in our studio. You are in the biggest, best industry I can think of. I mean, digital advertising, it has exploded over the last 10 to 15 years. You bank the companies that support the technology of all those big media companies that we like Google and Facebook. Talk to us about the state of digital advertising today. Is it as strong as it's been over the last several years?
Yeah, look, first of all, you're absolutely right to denote that, this is massive. We're talking about $1 trillion of spend globally. And what's interesting about it is that the vast majority of that spend is actually, those ads are bought programmatically. And all that's just a fancy word, meaning auction bought in auctions. And so there's a lot of technology that requires sort of real-time assessment and targeting of each particular ad slot that happens in milliseconds. So the technology has completely moved to this sort of software intermediated world. From a business model standpoint, the giants that you mentioned, they're somewhere in the 90+% of their revenue comes from advertising. Not everyone can be Bloomberg, right? But it's beyond just those large platforms. So media and historically subscription-based media, like a Bloomberg, but also like a Netflix and like a Disney that had these sort of B2B models in the old TV world that you and I covered well decades ago. They're all now shifting to advertising in order to garner larger audiences and supplement their revenues.
I mean, obviously this is an ever-evolving space. It seems like there's something new every single day. How do you all stay nimble?
You're absolutely right, Nora. In fact, I describe this sector as having 5 attributes. Scale, I mentioned $1 trillion, right? Growth. So if you looked at the compound annual growth rate of digital advertising, it's over 20% for 20 years. Name another industry that has that characteristic of growth. I'll wait. There is none. It has fragmentation. There are thousands of companies across this ecosystem that either offer services, media, data, software. It's very, very complex. That's the 4th item. Tremendous amount of complexity. And 5th, what you mentioned, Nora, it's dynamic. It just keeps changing. If you don't like it, wait 3 months, it'll be different. Either there will be a new technology or there'll be a new media channel, witness, TikTok, vertical video, short form video, or there'll be a new technology policy, Google with, removing cookies, which is their sort of identifier, or there could be new regulation. And we're seeing a virulent antitrust and privacy legislation from both the U.S. government and Europe.
That's kind of where I wanted to go. Terry and his firm, Luma Partners, they host these leading conferences where all these tech people come together. And I go to these conferences and I don't know anyone. I don't know any company, but I just step back and I say, collectively, these are the people that put all the ads on the Googles, the Facebook. They figure it out. That's how I think about it. Talk to us about M&A in your business, because it's comprised of, in the advertising technology space that supports all the digital advertising that we all experience every day. A lot of M&A, and that's where you fit. Talk to us about how that activity's been over the last several years.
So first of all, you're right. But your non-recognition of these people that are really driving the internet. I mean, think about it, right? Who gets the headlines? Rupert Murdoch, David Zaslav.
Right.
Sorry, great guys, meaningless as in terms of their power and influence over how this all gets made. The real people are these people that we don't even know. doing sort of B2B
But you know them.
advertising technology. Certainly do. So this sector has gone through a wave of new company formation, and there's always new innovation, so there's always new companies, but it's direly in need of consolidation. That's where I identified this as an opportunity 14 years ago when I formed Luma, and it's completely manifested and has a lot more to go. Lately, the last 18 months or 18 of the last 24 months, we saw a huge slowdown in M&A activity, a 10-year low, because, the economy, all these macro uncertainties, people weren't sure what was going to happen with interest rates, with inflation. And so basically everyone cut costs, improved their profitability in 22 and 23 in anticipation for a recession that never came. I swear to God, if we get to the end of 24 and there's not a recession, Jerome Powell deserves to be on the $20 bill. I mean, what an incredible job. And so now everyone is like, wait, we haven't done M&A for a couple of years. We direly need new technologies and new markets to enter. And by the way, we've got our EBITDA in a great place right now, and we can't, and the ad market continues to grow. So not only is there not a recession, digital ad spend is growing 14% this year. Now I'm talking about, is the $1 trillion industry growing at 14%? Right. Those are large numbers. So every year it forms like an industry size of growth. And next year forecasted to grow 12%. So turns out you can't cut your way to growth. And so they're back on the bandwagon, and strategic M&A is coming back.
The biggest platforms, as you mentioned before, the Facebooks, the Googles, the Amazons of the world, boy, it feels like Washington has really got the regulatory sites trained upon them. How does that impact kind of everybody else in the industry?
Excellent question. Here is my problem with the DOJ and the FTC. So Jonathan and Lena, their well-intended policies to curb big tech, no one would argue with that. Big tech, look, come on, man. These companies have enormous power. So by all means, rein them in. However, the effect of the well-intended legislation was to put a pall on all M&A activity. I mean, when they blocked the Simon & Schuster deal, it's like, sorry, 1977 called and they want their antitrust legislation back. So it's totally ludicrous. They've, I think, overstepped. And the net result is, if you've got a half a dozen companies that are omnipowerful, like Amazon, Google, Facebook, it's companies numbered 7 through 50 that you need to be doing M&A in order to compete with the top 6. And now they're foreclosed from doing so. And so actually it's had the opposite effect. It's actually increased monopoly power.
So let's talk AI. I mean, not that big of a deal, but I'm curious, how does it actually impact your business? Of course, that is something that everyone's been watching in terms of AI and how obviously it trickles into social media and how we think about the internet and things of that nature. And I'm sure it's very, very critical to digital ad sector.
Yeah. So I put AI in the category of shiny new objects, right? I mean, and marketing loves the shiny new object. People in this industry went crazy for, oh my God, 5G, Web3, NFTs. And, I feel there's a responsibility as someone who understands what's going on here to call balls and strikes. So I said, this is nonsense. This is bunk. You're wasting your dollars. By all means, marketers, spend in those categories for experimental purposes to look cool and speak at conferences. But you just know that you're lighting all of that money on fire. Now, AI, there's a lot of hype around AI. So wait, are we saying this is yet another shiny new object? I believe this is one where there's both hype and reality. In fact, one could make the argument that digital advertising and media is the perfect application for AI, because these are large language models that do a lot of interesting things, but they need huge amounts of data. Well, there is no industry with more data in terms of real-time bidded trillions of ad calls daily in real time. It's the perfect application for AI. And we're going to see a spectrum from evolution to revolution. I put them in 3 buckets. Of course, they're going to improve efficiency in and around media, data, and workflow around how all this stuff works, because it's complex, and AI will improve that. Then there's another category around generative AI that's going to improve content and the creative of the ads so that they become more effective, not just more efficient, but more effective. And then there's a third category of who knows. It could fundamentally change navigation on the web. What do I mean by that? It's going to change search, because search is where you ask questions, whereas AI gives you answers, right? Why do we need to manually navigate to websites if the publisher can simply publish to the LLM? Because the interface isn't going to be manual navigation to a www dot, it's just, you're just going to ask your AI and AI will give you the answer. So the whole digital media world, from a publisher standpoint, could be going from B2C to B2B. And where the B2B, the last B on B2B is in fact the LLMs of the AI.
You haven't lost your energy, dude.
Oh,
no!
Hell no! I'm just getting started.
I told these people, when this guy comes in, you're gonna know. Terry Kawaja, thank you so much for joining us. Terry Kawaja, he's the founder and CEO of Luma Partners, really focusing on the digital advertising market, all the companies that kind of fuel the global digital advertising. And what's digital advertising? It's all the ads that come on your Facebook feed,
Snapchat.
your Google search, Snapchat, all that kind of stuff. Somebody's responsible for that, and Terry is certainly one of them, the investment banker to the tech world, getting an upbeat view of digital advertising, artificial intelligence, a big player. If you're an advertiser, you want to make sure that your ad message gets to the right person, the right customer or potential customer, and AI can certainly help in that. So we'll keep an eye on that. So we appreciate getting a few minutes of Terry's presence here in our New York studio.
This is the Bloomberg Intelligence Podcast, available on Apple.